I just want to say from the beginning, can you please leave a comment at the end of this video?
You really shouldn't listen to all this gossip, Cobalt. You know, we're as happy as a bottle of Bud Light in a customer's hand.
Well, insiders have told Radar Online that, and I quote, they are taking time apart to try and figure out what hit them. Yeah, you know, we know what hit us.
Yeah, I think that source also said that we were attempting to become closer by spending time apart.
Yes, I can imagine how that would be a suitable upgrade to actually being with each other. But I must return to Meghan's point. We know what hit us. Well, Harry doesn't know how to behave in front of cameras.
Yes, I do. You know, I always carry everything off stylishly and cool.
You know, things seem to have run their course, right? Like, we don't seem to be complimenting each other like we once were. You mean his royal status is no longer carrying you? Yeah, like, I don't really like to dwell on things, you know, and I've never liked that being trapped in that feeling of, like, disenfranchised dispowerment, right? Possibly, but it sounds like waffle to me.
Oh, I love waffles.
Because things have been going really well for me for a long time now. You know, I've been on a good run. You know, I rose up, you know, from nothing, from an unknown, to, you know, add a little bit of elegance to the otherwise, you know, garish Deal or No Deal. You know, then I got some like minor roles in some small films, and then I got some like bigger roles in some tiny films. You know, and then of course I landed my role in Suits, which became pretty much an instant American classic. You know, a drama classic. Never seen it.
No, same.
That's kind of like a prime example of what I'm talking about, you know? But anyway, before we do that, let's get back to when my life was going really well. And after Suits, another big change in my life came. You know, out of literally nowhere. Once again, I became one of the most talked about individuals in the world. You know, I was on TV, I was in papers, in magazines, you know, literally out of nowhere. You know, I was given a really famous interview, you know?
Yeah, and we bashed them up good.
Yeah, I became one of the biggest stars, you know, names in the whole world. You know, people were talking about me, and they wanted to know me, and people even started parodying me. You know, doing parodies of me, which everyone knows is like one of the greatest compliments. Not always. And all this, you know, culminated in me being like the central focus, you know, star of like a worldwide televised event. You know, in a church, in a chapel in Windsor, and it was. Had a celebrity guest list, and literally every member of the royal British family was there in attendance.
You mean our wedding?
And that's when my life peaked, right? You know, it really peaked then. It's never got as good as that since. You know, it's been a slight, you know, I've had good moments since then. You know, I've had good moments when I, you know, done interviews or podcasts or documentaries. You know, when I made them and released them, I felt really good. But not after the reviews came in. Yes, that pesky thing called the audience. So ever since my big moment in the church,
our wedding,
it's been a steady, you know, and sometimes not so steady decline. You know, it's like objectively, this has been the worst period of my life, you know, since my triumphant, you know, rise to stardom from like literally unknown to being like the focal point of a royally attended, you know, event. In a world-famous chapel in Windsor.
Yeah, our wedding, Meghan.
So I've got to think things through, right? You know, because Harry has been like literally the only major change. You know, living with Harry has been the major change in my life since, you know, those peak years. And I think I need some time to like consider, right, properly consider how things have been affecting us, me. Yes, but have you ever considered that it isn't just because of Harry's deficit in showbiz talent and charm, but it is also, and I say this with all sincerity, that you are impressively unappealing? Have you ever considered that?
Well, that's something I've been considering more and more recently.
Well, have you also considered how stupid you are?
Well, I'm not clever enough to consider two things at once.
Yeah, well, you can say that again.
I'm not clever enough to consider two things at once.
You're such an immature doofus sometimes.
I know you are, but what am I then?
that was the video. So it's time to hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and leave a comment. And if you want to see some extra videos on Patreon, there's a link in the description.